First of all, I want to commend all y'all for showing up in this circle. Even though you know Czar, you know me, so you would want to come in, but also if you feel yourself, there might be a little rumble happening in and around your chest because this isn't your normal everyday type of circle. This one is focused on heartbreak, specifically on heartbreak. I actually did this circle last year. It wasn't a master class. It was just one of my circles that I switched over to this title, just so we had a space to actually feel more into the experience of our heartbreak, so that we can get closer to the places that we need to put the healing elixirs that we've learned, so that we can heal the scars, um, repave the openings, reconnect the things that were torn apart in our hearts. And I want to focus more on the experience of that than the intellectualization of it, than even to the moments of it, but really allowing that experience to speak, that physical and emotional experience. We hear a lot about the mental experience, and not a whole lot of us, without being overwhelmed by it, um, allow ourselves to sink in to that experience. So, over in the chat, you can see the tile that I put up, those special partial eclipse for the heart. That link, that YouTube link, goes to a lyric video of the song Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Taylor. It was actually released a few days before Valentine's Day in 1983. So that was an interesting little factoid that I came across. And so what we're working with, the premise that I'm working with here, is that our unhealed scars in and on our hearts diminish our capacity to connect with ourselves and to others. There's a whole lot of conversation that we get around: you should move on, you should go forward, you should press on, you should get yourself back out there, all of these things, and not a whole lot of you should take some time. You should be with that grief. You should feel that, the depth of that sadness. You should come to terms with that loss. And then, even if we get that communication, the how is really missing for a lot of us. There's not there's not a book that says these are the steps to make it happen. There's not a lot of TikTok videos that really can put into terms like this: you do these things and your heart will be healed. I'm one that really believes supremely in like the wisdom of our bodies, and how knowing and experiencing and moving through that particular part of our ecosystem as a human being, we can get access to ways that we can heal, different ways, emotional scars, mental scars, these heart scars that we have, these wounding that we have. I say scars, but the scars are a part of the healing process. I really mean the wounding. So then I have these questions. I like to, y'all know, y'all that do know me, know that I like to use questions. And it's really about asking these questions into ourselves. Because if we can be curious about what's happening with ourselves, maybe we'll be available for the responses that we've always been getting from ourselves, but we'll be available to them and tune more back into them. And so these questions aren't really for sharing right now. I just want you to sit with the answers. And I'm also going to play this song. So as the song is playing, sit with those answers: your most recent heartbreak and your earliest heartbreak. And if your being right now is kind of shaking, it's like I don't like either one of those questions, then just sit with the song and the lyrics to the song and see what shows up for you. This is all about your experience of heartbreak. Now, as I go to do this, I might get apt. um, Things might not work. So Czar, just let me know if you're not able to hear the song when it comes on,
Okay.
because I believe my voice might be lost in it. Or actually, I should be able to talk through the microphone too. That's going to be right here next to the music.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
No, not yet.
All right,
Nope.
hold on a second. Let me turn this thing on.
Y'all
Can
give
you
it up for DJ Mike.
can you hear that?
No.
We can't hear that.
Uh,
Hmm. Okay. Maybe I have to do something else.
And it's the one. It's the one in the link, right?
Yeah.
Let me see
Oh,
if I could do it too. Let me just. If I
oh, we can hear yours really clear. Okay, that's even
can. You
better.
hear that?
I tried to do
Okay.
this before and it worked, but it's not working now. So
Okay.
I
Let me try to
appreciate that.
grab it. Mhm. Let me copy it real quick. And did it copy? Let me see.
So for those of y'all that are just coming in, we're trying to get a song to play. You can find it over in the chat. Um, it is Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Taylor. And what we're doing is we're sitting with those two questions. What was your most recent heartbreak? What was your earliest heartbreak? We're just sitting with those questions, being curious into ourselves, really being curious into our hearts, because it would know.
Mm-hmm.
It would know, and it will tell you if you're available for that.
Oh, that's why I didn't. I copied it. Copied the whole message. Hold on, 1 second. Shoot, Bonnie Taylor. Is it the 5 minute version?
Yeah.
Okay, I can just pull it up. There we go. Let's see. Is that? Can y'all hear it?
Yes.
Okay, let me start it over. Is it too loud or is it?
No, I think that's good. A little bit more.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, that's great. Probably need to turn it down just a little bit more because as it gets higher, it cuts down the sound.
Can barely hear it.
Yeah, it
I
is
was
cutting down.
thinking,
So
Mike,
yeah,
could you maybe send us the link? We listen and you time us like in 1 minute or whatever we come back. Is that something we can do maybe?
we can try. But
Well,
I'll just
I can
but
play it for you guys. I can play it from my radio, so that that's not using the phone bandwidth.
do you have
So I
it?
say it might do the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Because
Why
this
don't
is coming
we
from the computer. That's not even coming from my phone.
and I just want you to notice the heartbeat that's happening there. Some of you might have been paying attention to the lyrics. Some of you might already know the song and were singing it to yourself. Some of you never heard that song before and the melody took you, but you're sitting with what was your most recent heartbreak and what was your earliest heartbreak? And when I ask what's the earliest, you're not trying to get perfect. It's just what's the earliest one you remember. A lot of us, awakened into consciousness with our first heartbreak. Like that's what woke us up to, oh, there's a world that I'm experiencing. All right, so we're going to take these two shares in terms of those questions, and then we're going to get into a couple of body, excuse me, a couple of body practices to really get deeper into our experience of this heartbreak that we have. Tanya.
Also,
Hello. The two question was, can you repeat it for me? I'm sorry.
your most recent heartbreak and your earliest heartbreak.
Okay, my most recent, of course, is My Marriage Right Now, but I was jamming to that. I remember that song. I love it. And my first, I remember, is like in sixth grade, Jesse Campbell Broke My Heart. But yeah, that's all I got.
Mm. Do you notice or have any links or connections in the kind of heartbreak that both of those were?
No,
Okay.
this one is way more devastating than, this most recent is more devastating than Jesse Campbell. But yeah,
Hmm. Okay. Thank you, Tanya.
you're welcome.
All right,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Michelle?
Hi, happy Valentine's Day.
Hello.
Likewise.
My earliest heartbreak that I can recall is crying and begging my mother to quit beating my sister because
Mm.
she had been hitting her so hard for so long, I was afraid she would kill her. I think my sister was 4 at the time.
Hmm.
So that was my
And
earliest
how old were
heartbreak.
you at the time?
5.
5. Okay.
I had no power, and my sister had thrown a log through the glass door because our mother would lock us outside for hours
Mm.
upon hours upon
Hmm.
hours. And so she could have time alone. And, I am the mom of 7, so I kind of get that, but I've never done that. Anyway,
Hmm.
past that, my most recent heartbreak, and I've had one after another for the last 6 years, but the most recent one was when I went into PTSD and there was nobody in my family to support me
Hmm.
or to care for me. And that was in August, and I have been alone since August I mean, completely alone to deal with this. And then I've gotten cancer on top of it. The doctors are like, well, you only have a 50% chance of making it without support, family
Hmm.
support. I don't, I don't have it. I have my 2 youngest sons. They're getting ready to be 21 in a couple of weeks, and one lives in Houston, and one lives in Norman, and they have all their friends are getting ready to graduate, and they have been working 2 jobs each this whole time and not going to school because now in the fall they're going to start the university finally because they've saved up their money and they've pieced things
Uh-huh. But
together.
right, right.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go interfere on them with my sadness because it's the beginning of their beautiful independent life.
Hmm.
And I don't want them thinking, I need to take care of my geriatric mother. So, but it's painful that the rest of my children um, either one aren't
And
capable of providing support because they are just so drunk or so out on drugs. And that includes my mother and my sisters. I mean, it's overwhelming
hmm
to be alone in all this pain. And the only way I could get back their support is to be okay with everything they're doing. So basically, walking up to Satan and saying, okay, I'm good with what you do, just don't exclude me. And I'm just not that person.
okay. Thank you, Michelle.
So there's my share.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And we'll just go ahead and take tea before we move on to our next thing.
Yeah, my current one is just, what's been going on with me and my wife. Um, just kind of just us separating in marriage and all that stuff. Just the last 2 years have been rough. And I think my first heartbreak was when my mom and dad separated for the first time, and we took a
Mm.
train all the way back home from Mississippi back to Sacramento, California. And my mom was pretty much cheating on my dad in front of me. And then my dad came down after a year and kept interrogating me about it. And I tried to act like I didn't know anything, but I just couldn't lie anymore. So I told him the truth that, yeah, I seen a man and this is what it was. And he beat me for that.
Mm,
I felt so betrayed. I felt like, dang, like I've been rocking with you all this time. What you want me to do? You want me to lie to my dad? You gonna beat me because I lied? Because I want to tell the truth? It went against everything that I thought she stood for.
yeah.
I was so disappointed in that.
Hmm.
So I think it hits different now when you realize you in this separation stage, and my wife is also was cheating, and we're during our separation was doing her thing, same thing. And now I have to look at my kids and be like, man, I have to do something to change this story, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you, T. Yeah. And that's where we move into this next piece, that looking at what our most recent wounding is, what our first remembered wounding is, seeing if there are any links, any patterns, any outgrowths from that. And so, what I'm going to have everybody do now, just go ahead and find your breath. Finding your breath is all about bringing your awareness to all the components of your breath. You don't have to change it, just notice it. Notice how fast you're breathing, how loud you might be breathing, how much your chest expands or your belly moves when you breathe. And now, what I'm going to have you do with that breath is I'm going to have you deepen your breath. I'm going to breathe deeply in and slowly out. Go ahead and put a hand on your chest as you're doing that. A deep breath in, a slow breath out. And see if you can notice your heartbeat underneath your hand. Still breathing deeply in and slowly out. And I want you to start to physically feel into what your heartbreak feels like. When you bring up your most recent or your earliest heartbreak, what feelings come forward? And when I say feelings, I'm talking about sensations and emotions because that's what we use that word for. We can use them for sensations like, oh, that feels hurt, that feels pokey, that feels like a slice, that feels like a crunch. Or we say, oh, I feel happy, I feel devastated, I feel lonely. So you're breathing deeply in, slowly out. You have your hand right there on your chest. You might even put the other one on your belly. And feel into that heartbreak. A lot of our heartbreak don't just have one sensation associated with it. It has a collection of sensations. And the same thing with emotions. You might have a base of sadness, but there might be a pinch of anger. Could be a dollop of relief. And over in the chat, as you're still doing that, because we don't want to leave that experience, you can put in the chat your answers to these questions. I already have a couple of hands also, but over in the chat, I have, this is about describing your experience. As we get into this heartbeat thing, we're going to dive deeper into that communication with our heart around that heartbreak. How does your heartbreak physically feel? How does your heartbreak emotionally feel? We just peel those apart just so we can get a better sense of what's happening, the same way that we would with a physical wound. If we have a wound, we have a cut. How does that physically feel? What emotions am I navigating around that so that I can get closer to it in my process to heal it? Z.
Oh gosh, I thought somebody else's hand was before me and I could, breathe a
Yeah.
little bit more and feel
I
it.
think they dropped out. I think they dropped out and they probably.
I don't blame you, whoever it was to drop out. I almost want to drop out. Oh my gosh, why did you have to take us there, Mike? Ay, Dios mío. When I have my hand on my heart, it skips a beat. It glitches when I have to actually feel that feeling. It's like almost like if I was driving a car and it starts kind of not really going smooth. It just skips.
Mm-hmm.
Hurts. It goes into pit of somewhere. I don't know where, but it feels like a pitfall, like a heaviness. And I get uncomfortable and I want to do anything and everything not to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I rather, attend to somebody else's pain so I can avoid this pain. And that is something that I have done a lot in the past. Whew, that was heavy. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Thank you, Z.
Want to take
All the
Tara?
rest, all the rest of us are still taking that deep breath in, that slow breath out, with our hands on our hearts, staying with the experience. As you hear somebody else describing their experience, it might resonate with yours and it might not. You might get a little bit more clarity on what your heartbreak is. Tara.
Yeah, I really love being able to pause, and I've recently read Heart Math, kind of heart intelligence, which the nervous system, our heart has its own nervous system, and listening to the heart, they talk about freeze framing, and it's been a while or been around for some time since the 90s, I think. Heartmath.com. But it talks about listening to the heart like we're doing right now. And I didn't know my heart had so much to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And pausing and feeling, everything that the heart's in control of, it actually won't always listen to our mind. They've found out sometimes the heart won't listen to the nervous system. And that's kind of the intelligence of right now, my heart saying I'm at peace. But a week ago, it was not, and I paused and I listened to it and it was angry at me. And I was like, oh, okay, well, then let's rethink. What do I need to do to make you happy? And just taking pause to listen to our heart and our bodies, because the absorption of stress and physical and emotional, our heart is so in tune with. So thank you for holding this space in the room, but I dropped a book, Heart Math, in the chat if people want to look at it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tara. Michelle. Are you there, Michelle?
We lost her. Michelle, are you muted?
Okay. Anything come up for you, Czar?
Just these I'm feeling even in regards to some of the, because I was thinking about the first heartbreaks, and because I've done grief recovery on these things, I feel the
Mm-hmm.
peace.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
unmuted when you guys are done. Sorry.
yeah. Okay. And even even the most recent one, and so that's kind of sense just a bit of peace, which is interesting. I didn't expect that.
Mm.
So
You were looking for some pain or looking for some sadness and found peace, or was it you were just
yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, so right now, I think what I'm experiencing, it feels like pain and isolation. To me, pain feels like being on fright or flight and not being able to get yourself stuck off of it, to just feel calm. It feels like isolation, sorrow, silence, shame, resentment, and sometimes anger, like what in the hell is the problem with my family. um but maybe I am the problem. I don't know. I just know that I can feel real positive in doing meditation and self affirmations and sitting here with myself, and I can feel real positive, but without anybody supporting me at all, I feel like I must be in the wrong in some way. So that makes me feel some sort of shame, although I can't figure out what it would be. And maybe I just don't see myself right. So this is just all hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of always been that Mother Earth caretaker person, and now I am just a weed in the ground.
Hmm. Can I ask a question, Mike? In there,
Yeah.
just with Michelle, with what you're saying, some of the things that you're saying, are you feeling that, or are you thinking that?
I feel it. I don't
You
think
feel
you
it.
can feel that kind of the thing you hear my voice. That that's feeling it. And I felt it. I mean, my whole life has been one trauma after
After another.
another. Yeah,
What
I
does
mean,
the wrong?
seriously, I
Because
could write a
you
lot of movies.
you
I just,
mentioned that you mentioned that you might be in the wrong. What does that
I
feel
might
like?
be
What does that feel like? Like, are you able to
like
describe what
shame,
that's?
like guilt, like this is how
Does it feel like a
this is
breaking?
my
Does it?
question to myself. And
Mm,
I even asked my daughter-in-law. I have always I have 7 adult children. I have always been incredibly open. I have had people from every country, every part of the world live with us, every kind of friend, friends of my husband, just the whole thing. I have always just been this like earth mother taking care of everybody. And now that I am alone, nobody even asks how I'm doing. They don't want to have anything to do with me.
I hear you. I hear
And
you.
so, what did I do for my whole life other than serve
I
others? And,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm just wondering if like just even for like you sharing with us, definitely for yourself and for us. I'm just wondering like if you could pinpoint what it feels like, because it may spark something that's like,
what does it
shame
feel like?
feels like, yeah,
It
shame
feels
feels
like something just stuck in my throat.
there we go. Okay.
Like,
Okay.
like when you hear the words, I want a divorce, and that kind of feeling in your throat, you can't quite swallow past it, but of course you can.
Hmm.
It's just a horrible feeling.
Hmm. Hmm.
It feels like that.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what it feels like. And, I can sit here. This is my third day to sit in a hotel room alone. And the people that I listen to are you guys, which thank God. But, I sh- I have to look at why am I sitting here alone? I have 6 children. I had 7. One committed suicide 2 years ago. I have 6 children. three are somewhat supportive, two are really, really young, and that third one that's somewhat supportive is has more problems than I do. So,
Mm,
he can only do what he can do. You know what I'm saying?
we got
He's
you. We
he's
got
kind
you.
of his own little mess,
And
We
and I
Michelle,
got you.
Michelle,
can't put my stuff on it.
Michelle,
Yeah,
Michelle.
yeah,
So I'm gonna pause you here.
sure. I'm sorry.
What? No, it's okay.
I
And
didn't
this
hear the
isn't about
bell. I'm
no.
sorry.
Hold on. No, there wasn't a bell. I'm using my voice. I don't like to
Oh,
use the bell for that. But I'm
okay.
just using my voice, and I'm just letting you know. So what this opportunity here is, because I hear all of the things that contribute to your heartbreak, but this time here, what the focus is on is just the experience. And so I hear you, and I think I even get where Czar's question was coming from. Like, what's the feeling of it? Because there's a whole lot of thinking around it, a whole lot of explanation of it. But that experience, it sucks so bad
I'd say
that
the
just to
feeling's
be just to
betrayal.
be in just to be in the feeling makes it's overwhelming. And so what I'm gonna do is pause you here because we have about 15 minutes left. We have a
Yes,
couple of other
thank you.
people that want to actually also describe what their experience is as well with this, and we're going somewhere. And so I just invite you to continue to go on with us. Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle. Go
Okay,
ahead, Hannah.
I think Hannah just popped back in.
Oh, did
Um,
she? Oh,
yeah,
there she go. There she is.
Okay.
there you are.
I'm sorry. I didn't know if y'all could still see my hand because I know my phone died there, so I lost y'all for a minute.
Okay.
But I think when I heard the song and when you kind of gave us those reflections, the place that it took me to was I feel like my just ability to connect with people was kind of eviscerated at a very young age, maybe even in the womb. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, before we even enter the world, we are having these potential subjugations to harmful situations.
Mm-hmm.
And when my mom was pregnant with me, um, she was also in a very, very adverse situation. My father was not in the picture. And so there's a lot of pain and grief there. My mom also did a lot of substances when she was pregnant with me. So, like, I kind of was born into the world just with a lot of extra components, I guess, and that just
Mm-hmm.
makes me think a lot about because I mean I'm also I have a highly addictive personality, and I'm not even just referring to drugs. Like I mean just behaviors that I do on a daily basis. Like I'm incredibly prone to be addicted to those behaviors, and so I really just think about um, how that pain was kind of it feels like I mean I know this sounds dramatic but almost injected inside of me before I ever even had a chance to exist
Mm-hmm.
or whatnot, and so but that does also help me in releasing and acknowledging that pain.
Yeah. Mm. Thank you, Hannah. And Katie, I saw your hand up. Did you still want to share your
I
experience?
only if there is time, Mike. Else I can always send you what I have.
Oh, I'd love to get that. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
All right. So, as we're coming toward the end here, we're going to do one more um, little experience with our heart. And so, bring your awareness back to your breath, back to that deep, slow in and slow out breath. One hand on your heart, other hand on your belly. Now, at the ends of your breath, when you breathe deeply in, you're going to put a pause in your breath. And then when you breathe out, you're also going to put a pause on your breath. In, pause. Out, pause. In those pauses, see if you can notice your heartbeat just a little bit more in that pause. Breathe in, pause, feel for that heartbeat. Breathe out, pause, feel for that heartbeat. Now, if you can notice your heartbeat in those pauses, go ahead and take your awareness away from that breath and bring it just to your heartbeat and just be with your heartbeat. If it's hard for you to notice your heartbeat in the pauses, just keep your hand there. Stay with your attention on your breath and the sensation underneath your hand. You're going to ask your heart 2 questions. What happened to cause this heartbreak? What happened? How did this heartbreak happen? And just pay attention to the heartbeat. Don't try to translate any answers. Don't try to change anything. Just listening to that heartbeat, feeling that heartbeat, being aware of that heartbeat. How did that heartbreak happen? If you do find yourself getting a sense of an answer, go ahead and breathe deeply in. You're breathing that answer into yourself. And then when you breathe that out, it's like you're breathing it to your heart, like you're repeating it back to your heart so your heart knows that you were listening. And then your second question. How can I support you to heal this heartbreak? You're talking to your heart here. How can you support your heart? Not what you can think of, but what your heart will tell you. How can you support your heart to heal this heartbreak? How can I support you to heal this heartbreak we have? Listening to that heartbeat. And again, once you get a response, breathe that deeply in and then breathe it back out to your heart so it knows you were listening. How many times have we told someone something and they didn't listen? How did we feel? How was that relationship dynamic after that? Okay. So over in the chat, we're in our last 5 minutes, so we don't necessarily have time for shares in this one. But I did put over in the chat a couple of questions that fit with that particular process. Sitting with your heart, asking your heart, you want to track your timeline. What happened to cause that heartbreak? So that's something that you're reflecting on. So that's something that happened in the past. And then that tending, what tending will support your heart moves into the future. Because it's not just one thing that you do and then all of a sudden it's done. This is something that's a consistent returning to. that supports that. And then for later, some journaling, some heartful journaling you can do. This would be all about staying with that heartbeat, focusing in on that heartbeat while you either write or you audio journal. I prefer audio journaling because it's easier for me to be with my heart and then just express from my heart. But the questions in that, as you're going through, you're recognizing what your efforts are in the present. Those past two questions were about the past and the future. These questions are about the present. What do you think, do, or feel that either repeats your heartbreak or repairs your heartbreak? There, you're just recognizing what your efforts are, what you actively think about, what you actively do, what you actively feel, because there's ways that we generate feelings rather than just experience them as a response or reaction to something. And some things repair and some things repeat. What do you have around that, Zara?
I like that piece of what you just said a minute ago. There's some things that we generate in the midst, and it's repeating, and it's usually a lot of times it gets because we get stuck in the intellectual, intellectualizing certain things and in the details instead of really just being with, like you said, being with our heart and then listening to it, listening to what it really says. A lot of times, I know for myself, a lot of times my heart has said in moments like that, it's like, I just need you to listen to me.
Yeah.
And believe what, so don't go to minimizing and don't even catastrophize. Just believe what I'm expressing in this moment. So I think these are just some powerful questions. They, all of my mind is jumping back to grief recovery, because this is what grief recovery is all about. It's about allowing the heart to speak.
Yeah.
Letting it get its voice. Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to do this in your circle. It's not only that, February 14th fell on your masterclass day, but it really, knowing you're about relationships and grief. I mean, those are inextricably linked.
Yep.
And so to bring something as hefty as heartbreak had to be held in a container with like yours.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is right up my alley. Yeah. Wow. How y'all feeling? How are you all feeling? That's the thing. And that, when you're doing this particular exercise, and I'm calling it an exercise, but when you're doing this particular kind of check-in, you all, it gets difficult. And I see this, with myself personally. I also see it again, obviously doing grief recovery with people. We have a hard time just staying in the feeling. We start to go to all of the things. And it's like, and we really didn't hear and sit with the heart, sit with our heart, so just real important. Sometimes we just jump to what we're thinking, and it's we sort of, society's kind of structured that way. I say all the time, a lot of the weight that we're carrying, and even when we're talking about body keeping the score and stuff, a lot of the weight that we're carrying is undelivered emotional communication. You know what I mean? So that's the heart talking, not just the details of our situation, the details of our story. So those last couple of questions that you got there are just so powerful. Do I feel, do you feel this repeating? What I'm thinking. What do I think? And do I feel like what I'm thinking is repeating this? Am I re-traumatizing my heart? Or is it actually repairing it? Because there is a part where you bring your consciousness, your mind into, that's what's sitting with the heart. Your core consciousness is what's sitting with this part of you that's saying, oh, I really wanted that cookie. And so you're bringing your wholeness to the broken heart, so to speak. You're bringing your wholeness, your consciousness, the wisest part of yourself, the presence, your breath. Mike, you talk a lot about the breath. You're bringing that breath, that spirit, to this heartbreak. So, man, this is powerful, brother.
Yeah,
This is
thank you. It's really it's just I feel it so much as just getting back to the basics. It's
yeah.
back to the simplicity of, we what's the word I'm looking for here? But it's we assume that the body is just like it is like a car.
Eliminating. Mm,
And that
mm,
we can just replace a part or change the oil and everything's going to be fine, but
mm,
it's a whole ecosystem
mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm,
that that has so much communication in it. And so if we can just get as simple as, all right, if you can tune into your breath and you can tune into your heartbeat, you're more present than you usually are. And if you can employ your own consciousness to go to places within you that need your attention and
mm-hmm.
put your resource there, you would be surprised at the kind of change, the kind of shifting, the kind of healing, the kind of growth that can happen. But as you're talking about, we scatter. Our mind
Exactly.
scatters. It runs to the intellectual because that's been built and conditioned and habituated and
Mm-hmm.
practiced as the safest place to be.
Yep.
When so many of us are starting to really find out, oh, it's only one of the places that we can actually be and might not be the safest.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Yes. Wow. Go ahead, Z, really quick, and then we'll let Mike close this out.
I just want to say how helpful it is when we get the questions asked to find the like to actually like sit there and reflect on it. I find that when we are told what we need to do or we talk about it, the mind can hear it, but it's not going to feel it because feeling it is so uncomfortable. Like I find myself, I'm always like running away from the feeling part, but when I get like a stern person who is grounded, ask me the question and actually say like, here's the space for it, and I feel like I am in a safe place, and actually to feel into it and kind of like, sternly put back into place and say, feel it. I need you to I you are to feel it, like almost like commandish way to like feel this. What is it asking? And I need it, like not with the pressure, but just getting
Mm-hmm.
the answer to come up.
Hmm.
I find healing is so much uh more to happen because the mind has nowhere to run from,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm almost like put into that place to feel it. So I found the session really, the somatic, all MiiK's somatic questions, very, very helpful in my healing journey. It's been really, really, really profoundly helpful. Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you, Z.
Yeah, thank you, Z.
Wow. Any final thoughts, bro?
Yeah.
Any homework for us?
Well, yeah, I mean, not homework, just an invitation. Just an
Yeah.
invitation. Many of us are still in this day dedicated to love. Many of us, way too many of us, have unhealed wounds around our hearts, in our hearts, and with heartbreak. So for the rest of this day, put an alarm in your phone for an hour from now. When it goes off, drop into your heartbeat, drop into your breath, put your hand on your heart, and ask what it wants before you go to bed.
Mm.
And not only ask, offer.
Mm.
Because are gonna just gonna be a this one person had this really great um, twist on it. It was an ask hole. You ask a,
Asshole.
an ask hole. You're asking a question, but you don't give a damn about the answer, or you're not going to
uh,
respond to the answer. So
uh,
we can't just be asking our hearts, especially the ones that hurt. Hey, what do you want?
and then don't.
Just to say, okay,
Wow.
thank you for telling me.
Wow. Mm.
So yeah, put that alarm in your phone for an hour from now. Ask what your heart wants before you go to sleep, and then offer that to your heart.
My goodness. Oh man, another fine day on the Circles app.
Yes.
Yeah, and even beyond that, what I feel like it's another fine day in our hearts, you all. We got the things that we're carrying that are heavy. I want you to know that to sit with yourself, being able to sit with yourself in this way, it's a reflection that your heart is aching, your heart is hurting, but you still have a wholeness within you that remains untouched, right? And so you bring that to your heart in these spaces, and it's just so powerful. I think just those couple of things, watching how our mind shifts around these things, and then the other thing is when we actually consult with our heart. These are my biggest takeaways. When we consult with our heart, or when we allow our heart to actually speak, actually honor it. I just really like that, Mike. Not just, oh, thank you for telling me, and then I'm going on about my business, doing all of the same stuff I was doing before.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Oh, your
And
legs
so the
hurt? Let's
heart,
go for a
yeah,
run.
yeah, and so the heart is saying, I feel unseen. I feel unseen. So appreciate it, man. Wow, thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
I
Thank you,
always
Czar.
enjoy the space with you. Y'all show Mike. Well, what y'all want to offer to him? What would you offer to him?
Gratitude.
Mm,
Lots
mm.
of gratitude to Mike and you, Zar, of course. And my Zar, like you ask us, do you guys get it? Did you all get it? I want to ask you, did you read our text in the chat, Zar? Did you read our text in the chat? Did you
I
read it?
probably didn't. What did it say? I was somewhere in my heart, Acadia.
Oh, I gotta tease you sometime.
I missed it. Did you say so? What did you say to me?
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you.
Okay. All right. Woo. Yeah, y'all know I be in the session. I don't be in the chat. I try to be in the chat though in masterclass, but I still be missing it sometimes. But this was really good. Thank y'all so much. Listen, honor your hearts today, you folks. Honor your hearts. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say, I guess. Mike, thank you again, man. And you all in between, in the meantime, in between time, have a good weekend. Have a good weekend on purpose, even if it's just sitting with yourself and practicing just your sitting with your heart and listening to what it says. So, all right, y'all.
All right, y'all. Take care of yourselves.
All right, folks. I'll holla. Peace. Don't be an asshole. Don't have. Oh, I love that one. Thanks for that, Mike. All right, man. I will holler at y'all later. Peace, everybody.
Thank you guys for helping us love ourselves. Thank you so
For
much.
sure. We in it
Yeah.
with you. Yeah. Peace. That's good. Asshole.